Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and on this video tonight I am going to be giving you an update on Jadon Sancho. Now, according to a lot of reliable sources, they are saying now Manchester United are the favourites to sign Jadon Sancho in the summer. Now, Jadon Sancho has given his overarching view on the speculation, and I think his preference is a move to Manchester United. So this is what Jadon Sancho has come out and revealed basically in that. So yeah, he's set to leave Borussia Dortmund in the summer. Of course, Borussia Dortmund are now looking for an adequate replacement for him, and I think they've actually expressed an interest in a Nigerian striker, Emil Dennis, and that. Reportedly, Jadon Sancho will cost us in the excess of £100 million. It could even cost us more than £100 million, Jadon Sancho. And reportedly, we're set to offer him around £200,000 a week, plus a contract. So what that means in that aspect is, we are going to make him, one of our highest paid players in that. Because Jadon Sancho, obviously, is keen on, making a return to the Premier League. Don't forget, Jadon Sancho enjoyed a couple of years with Manchester City. But obviously, he never really got any first-team opportunities at Manchester City. So this is the main explanation why he left Manchester City to join Borussia Dortmund and that. And now Jadon Sancho is coming to his third season with Borussia Dortmund. And obviously, analysing it this season, Jadon Sancho has enjoyed a very difficult season. Obviously, he has been dropped in quite a lot of games. I think, in the 2 years, 2 years or so, though, he has done quite well with Borussia Dortmund. So analysing, his performances, his valuation has persistently grown. But, Borussia Dortmund, will, make a huge profit on the player, because they basically got him from next to note from Man City. They only paid around £6 or £7 million for him from City. So they'll make around a 93 million pound profit if they do sell him for £100 million. Of course, he's still got around, is it 2.5, I think, is it around 2.5 or just under 2 years or something like that on his contract? Because he's under contract with them until 2022 and that. But I do believe he would be the right calibre player for Manchester United. Maybe, if we don't get, the top four this season, or if we do fail to qualify for Europe, then maybe it could be hard to get Jadon Sancho, because obviously a player of Jadon Sancho's calibre, wants to be in Champions League football and that. But, even if maybe we don't get it, on the other hand, maybe, we could still get it, as long as, we are willing to pay what Borussia Dortmund, are currently demanding. Jadon Sancho is predominantly a right winger, and he can also, play centrally, but he is predominantly a right winger in that. But I would be excited about the prospect of him, coming in, playing alongside the likes of Rashford, Daniel James, Anthony Martial, and he would dramatically improve our attacking line. Jadon Sancho in the Bundesliga has made 65 appearances and scored 25 goals. I think in all competitions he has made around 84 or is it 85 appearances and that. And he does fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly, because, as Solskjaer revealed, he wants to continue the policy of recruiting young, players to Manchester United and that. So actually, now Jadon Sancho could be our, first signing in the summer, and he could be our 6th signing overall under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. And that is if Solskjaer is still Manchester United manager in, the summer transfer window and that. But, I'd love, Jadon Sancho to come to Manchester United. He's a player that can score goals, he can create chances, he can provide assists. And obviously, he will get first-team opportunities at Manchester United and that. Obviously, a few other clubs have been in for him. Obviously, Chelsea, have been in for him. Obviously, Liverpool have recently expressed their interest in the player. But another main explanation why we're now the favourites to sign Jadon Sancho is because Chelsea have currently signed Hakim Ziyech from Ajax. I don't think it's been officially announced as yet, but, they are going to sign him. He is 26 years of age. He's predominantly a right winger, but he can also operate as a number 10. I think, Chelsea have agreed, they've reached a verbal agreement with Ajax on a fee. I think the fee is around, is it 37 or 38 million pounds. Of course, Chelsea were relentlessly, linked to him back in the January transfer window. Obviously, Ajax were not determined to let him go in the January transfer window because Chelsea had a bid turned down. But yeah, they're going to get him for around £38 million. So he's going to be Frank Lampard's first signing. And I think it did reveal last summer that he did sign a new contract with Ajax, but he did initially have around a 25 million release clause, did the player. But he has been a revelation in the Dutch league, as this current player hasn't played in the Premier League as yet. But, Chelsea are closing in on the signing of the player in that, because obviously, Chelsea do need to make signings. Obviously, there was also in for Edison Cavani in January. They also inquired about, the availability of Dries Mertens, but they are going to get, that Hakim, Ziyech. I may have pronounced his name wrong. But, yeah, so Chelsea are closing in on signing him. So now reflecting on that, they may drop their interest in Jadon Sancho. I think Hakim Ziyech has played against Chelsea a couple of times this season in the Champions League. Seems a pretty decent player. Do you think he'd do really, really well in the Premier League and that? So, yeah, so now I think we are going to get Jadon Sancho in the summer, because when it's coming from Sky Sports and that, which is a very reliable source, there is a lot of credibility in that. So, yeah, I'll be very, very excited, when we do get Jadon Sancho on the current board and that. But, there's a lot of players on our current agenda anyway, who Man United could sign in the summer, because obviously we do know that furthermore investment is needed in the squad. And we are already, making plans for the summer transfer window. We're already making plans for the summer transfer window. And as you all know, recently Ed Woodward came out and, he wrote a fan forum. And obviously, he said, he's going to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the summer with more transfers. And he's basically, come out and defended the club's recruitment policy, even though a lot of people, have criticised our recruitment policy. Because to be honest with you, that's something Manchester United need to improve on. Because our recruitment has been very, very poor, at least for the last 6 or 7 years. But, Ed Woodward is determined to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. But, I can't estimate how much money Manchester United have got. I know we have got a substantial amount, but I can't exactly estimate how much we've got. But I do presume we'll be spending a substantial amount in the summer. So, Jadon Sancho is going to cost us at least £100 million. Obviously, there has been reports coming out today saying that, we're planning a double swoop for James Maddison and Jack Grealish. And they're going to cost us around £160 million. So that's £260 million there on, 3 players and that. But, yeah, we are going to spend a substantial amount, this summer. And obviously, we obviously got rid of a lot of players, last summer and that. 2 of our players went this year. So some of the players that did go last summer, we did generate, funds for, some of their departures. Obviously, I think a couple of players went on a free, some players went on loan. Obviously, we generated a substantial amount for the departure of Lukaku. We got £70-odd million for him. Obviously, as well, with him leaving, it freed up our wage bill. Sanchez going out on loan to Inter Milan, that freed up our wage bill a bit. And more players are expected to leave in the summer, because Solskjaer has confirmed there will be more departures. So, again, that's going to, we're going to generate funds for that. But we're going to sell Pogba in the summer more than likely, so we'll probably get around 150 or 160 million pounds for Pogba. Then obviously, we can put that 150 and 100 or 160 million on Jack Grealish and James Maddison. So basically, we're going to spend that money on them, from the money we've generated from, Paul Pogba's departure and that. But let's see, what we can do in the summer transfer window. Of course, Solskjaer has been at Manchester United now over a year. Obviously, he's recommended 5 players in 3 transfer windows. Obviously, last summer he recommended Daniel James in for £50 million. He recommended Anwan Bissaka in for around £50 million. And he recommended Harry Maguire in for £80 million, of course. Harry Maguire is the club's second most expensive signing, just behind Paul Pogba. And obviously, he's the most expensive defender in the world is Harry Maguire. And obviously, in the January transfer window, we got Bruno Fernandes in for £68 million. He's I think he's our 4th most expensive signing. And we've got Odion Ighalo in on loan until the end of the season. Like I mentioned, he's a really good cover-up, to Marcus Rashford, because Marcus Rashford's out for at least the next couple of months. He's out at least for the next couple of months, with a back injury. And like I mentioned, Rashford's been one of Manchester United's best players this season. And also take into account, he is a good cover-up for Anthony Martial. So, yeah, so he's recommended 5 players in. Like I mentioned, I think around 9 senior players have left since he got recommended in to the football club. But revert back to what I said about Sancho. We pay 100 million for him or more. Obviously, he's going to be our most expensive signing, is Jadon Sancho and that. But I think it'll be good for him. It'll, it's beneficial for his career, coming back to the Premier League and that. Because obviously, even if he didn't leave Dortmund in the summer, obviously, at some point he'd want to move on anyway. He's not going to want to spend the entirety of his career in Germany, with Borussia Dortmund basically. But I think he'd do really, really well in the Premier League. At City, he didn't get his opportunities, like I mentioned, so we didn't really have a perception then. Obviously, I think before he was at City, he currently was at Watford and that. But I'd love him to come in, Jadon Sancho, definitely. But obviously, whatever players we bring in, doesn't change my perception regarding Solskjaer, like I've said on a number of occasions. I still don't feel as though he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. The main explanations why I don't think he's the right manager for Manchester United is because he's too inexperienced. He hasn't got that proven pedigree as a manager. My perception on him as a player is totally comparison, because I thought he was a great player for Manchester United. He's been tactically naive for the vast majority of this season. Doesn't have any plan B, doesn't really have a plan A, and these are my element of concerns about, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. But I don't think he will be here for much longer. Obviously, we've already given our verdict on this, and we've basically, said if we don't get any European football secured, or we finish out of the top 6, then more than likely Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be sacked as Manchester United manager. I think another reason why it's imperative that we get, the top 4, because obviously, our sponsorships, Adidas and Chevrolet, they've got substantial clauses in their contract, and if we don't get any European football, that could also have an effect on our summer transfer business. But, we are still in that top 4 race. The only main explanation why we're in it, like I said earlier on today, is because Chelsea have been so inconsistent this season, and we've had so many opportunities this season to close the gap on that top 4, but Manchester United have just not done it. And this is what really infuriates me. We just haven't done it and that. But I think, like I said earlier on, if we don't beat Chelsea on Monday, I think top 4's gone, because we'll be 9 points behind if Chelsea win. But on the other hand, if we win, we'll only be 3 points behind top 4. So we will be still currently in the race in that. So top 4 is one of our ambitions. It'd be nice to get some silver out on the board this season. We can still win the Europa League. That's another route to Champions League football. We can, win the FA Cup. We are into the 5th round of the competition and that. But, but if we, on the other hand, if Solskjaer can meet these expectations, if we can finish within the top 6 and we can get, European football, and I think maybe the club then will be determined to give Solskjaer another season. This is only his 1st full season as Manchester United manager, and he has got around, 2.5 years left on his current deal, and he's on around, £7.5 million a year. So when he came in, he got a massive increase in his wages, because his wages now at Man United are totally comparison to his ones when he was at Mould, because at Mould, I think he was only on £400,000 a year or something like that. But like I've mentioned, it's not only problems with the management, we need to see a variety of changes at the football club. And there's cultural problems at the club, and we need someone to come in to change the culture of the club. So I revert back to what I said, there's not only problems with the management, not all of the blame stems from Solskjaer. Obviously, Ed Woodward's definitely accountable. The Glazers are accountable, because I don't like the way the football club's been run in the last 6 or 7 years. Also, too, the board's accountable, because like I mentioned, they've been a liability for several years, and there's still a lot of problematic players at Manchester United and that, so we need to see a variety of changes at the football club, definitely. We'll only have to pay around £5 million to get rid of Solskjaer. That's around £15 million less than what we paid to get, rid of Jose Mourinho and that. But if Solskjaer is to be sacked, then it's very, very likely that Mauricio Pochettino will be our next current manager. So if he comes in Pochettino, he will be our 5th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era and that, because Solskjaer's our 4th permanent manager at the moment. And obviously, we've sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era and that. So I'll take that into account. And I think we've recruited around 31 players in, since Alex Ferguson's retirement back in 2013. And that's a lot. And, we've spent a hell of a lot of money. We've spent nearly is it £1 billion or is it £1 billion on recruiting new players in the last 6 or 7 or 8 years or so. So, obviously, I'd love Manchester United to sign Jack Grealish also in the summer. As you all know, I updated you the other day. There was reports coming out saying that Man United had agreed personal terms with Jack Grealish. ahead of a summer transfer, and it reportedly said that Jack Grealish's preference is a move to Manchester United this summer, and that's if he does leave Aston Villa. I think he's got around a 45 million release clause in his contract with Aston Villa. Maybe we'd have to pay a bit more than £45 million to get him on the board. Jack Grealish can play as an attacking midfielder, and he can also play as a winger, can Jack Grealish, but I think he's predominantly is he predominantly an attacking midfield, Jack Grealish? He's only at the age of 24. You know, still got a lot of years ahead of him, and he is well proven in the Premier League. And I would be excited about the prospect of him, you know, coming in, you know, playing alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield. You know, they would make a fantastic partnership with Bruno Fernandes and, you know, Jack Grealish and that. And we can afford to lose Pogbino if we can get a deal over the line for Jack Grealish, because up until this point, Jack Grealish has spent the entirety of his career, you know, with Aston Villa. Well, actually, I think he had a loan spell with Notts County. He's still got a contract with Aston Villa until 2023. Of course, Real Madrid, Barcelona and Man City have expressed their interest, but I think Jack Grealish is keen on the move to Man United. It said the other day that he was, you know, searching for a house in Manchester with Jack Grealish. So he's, you know, keen on making the move. But even if he doesn't leave in the summer, at some point he's going to want to rejuvenate his career and take his footballing career to the next level and that. But Jack Grealish would dramatically improve our midfield, definitely. So, yeah. And, you know, James Maddison, you know, he's initially our preference over Jack Grealish, but now we're trying to get, you know, both of them in the summer. I'm sceptical that we'll get James Maddison, like I mentioned before, because, you know, like I said, James Maddison is closing in on signing a new contract with Leicester. Obviously, you know, he's got 3 years left on his current contract at the moment. But again, you know, I'd take James Maddison at Manchester United, you know, very, very good player in that. So, you know, there's quite a lot of players on our agenda, you know, who we could, you know, go in for in the summer and that. So take that into account. But, you know, the players I think Manchester United should get rid of in the summer. I'll go through the list now, the players I think we should get rid of. I think we should get rid of Phil Jones. We should get rid of Nemanja Matic. We should get rid of Jesse Lingard. We should get rid of Andres Pereira. We should get rid of, you know, Chong. He's not at that level as yet. Perhaps we should get rid of Luke Shaw, because now Brandon Williams is our first choice left back. So these still a good 5 or 6 players that still do need to leave Manchester United. And all them players I've just said to you that need to leave, they are all liabilities in that. But on the other hand, you know, these 2 players I would be determined to keep at Manchester United. I'd keep Marcus Rashford. Martial, I don't really have a perception on him at the moment, you know, of whether I'd get rid of him or not, because he's had some good spells as a Manchester United player. I know he's been inconsistent in his last 6 or 7 games, but I don't know if we need to get rid of him. Obviously, if his bad run of performances continue, then we need to consider getting rid of him in the summer. I was reading reports today, and it did say Martial is a player that could obviously, you know, get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the sack. You know, if Odion Ighalo doesn't hit the ground running, you know, quickly, then, you know, he could get Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the sack. But, you know, Martial, we need to drop him completely, or we need to, you know, revert him back to the left-hand side. Because that left-hand side's Anthony Martial's predominant position anywhere. In like 4 years out of the 5 years he's been playing on the left-hand side. It's only this season Martial's been operating in that number 9 role and that. And, you know, he has received a lot of criticism as Anthony Martial, reflecting on his poor run of performances. He is only at the age of 24, though. He's Anthony, you know, Martial. So we'll probably no need to play Odion Ighalo in Anthony Martial's role, because Odion Ighalo, you know, is desperate for Anthony Martial's role anywhere, you know. But hopefully, you know, Odion Ighalo can hit, you know, the current ground running. Of course, he's going to make his debut against Chelsea, like Solskjaer has recently, you know, confirmed. But even though he wasn't part of the one with a training camp in Spain, because obviously, you know, that with the coronavirus that's going around, we fear that. So this is why he remained in the UK. Did Odion Ighalo. You know, Bruno Fernandes, he'll be making his 2nd appearance against Chelsea on Monday. Well, I should presume he will be. Obviously, I think he's a good signing for us. I thought he did really well on his debut against Wolves. You know, he wasn't really happy with his debut, Bruno Fernandes. But look at his stats from his debut against Wolves. Had the most touches in the first half. I think created more chances than any other player in the Manchester United team. So yeah, as long as we can keep Bruno Fernandes in that predominant position, I think we'll be all right. keep him in that predominant position. Don't, rotate him as a holding midfielder, like Solskjaer did in the midway point in the first half against Wolves. We need to keep him in that attacking midfield role. And he won't be a liability in an advanced role, but if you play him as a deep midfielder, then, he could become a liability, like Ryan Giggs, was currently saying, the other week and that. The other week and that. But, we've had a lot of injuries this season, but that's not excusable for how inconsistent we've been. Obviously, McTominay, I think he could be back for Chelsea, McTominay, to be quite honest with you. Because obviously, McTominay has, he's obviously in Marbella in Spain. He's, been recovering well from his injury. And he's definitely, one of the players I would be determined to keep at Man United, McTominay, because I think McTominay, has done really, really well, if I'm, going to be quite honest with you. He's done really, really well this season. And, it'd be good to see him, back in action. Paul Pogba, I'm not too sure if he's going to be back for Chelsea. He's continuing his rehabilitation from his ankle injury. Obviously, he wasn't part of the training camp in Spain. Obviously, Marbella, was Paul Pogba. But he's got, like I mentioned, when Pogba and McTominay are back anywhere, we're going to look much better in that current midfield. And Bayin, of course, don't forget Bayin for Sumen, who have just recently come back from injury, which is obviously, very, very good. And I do presume at some point, they're going to get their opportunities. They're good there. They're good there as backups, to Lindelof and Harry Maguire, because Lindelof and Harry Maguire are our first choice centre-backs. And, Diego Dalot's just recently come back from injury not too long ago. Don't really have a perception on him at the moment, because he hasn't really had his opportunities at Manchester United, let's be honest. But like I mentioned, revert back to what I said, that there's a list of players in our squad that I would be determined to keep. Keep Rashford, keep McTominay, keep Fred, because he's rejuvenated himself recently. I think he tends to play very well when he plays alongside McTominay in that midfield, like he did earlier on in the season. He's had a couple of good games alongside Matic, but looks better alongside McTominay from my own perception. I'd keep Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka and obviously James, the three signs that we got in last summer. I'd keep Mata. I know Mata doesn't really get in the team a lot now, and I know he's aging up. He's been a long-serving player here, but I think he's a good cover-up to Bruno Fernandes is one Mata, so he's one player I would be determined there to keep. I'd keep Lindelof because I think he's done well alongside Harry Maguire, So, yeah, these two players I would be determined to keep at the football club, definitely in that. And obviously, Dean Henderson is out on loan at Sheffield United at the moment. I think if he does come back to Manchester United after his loan spell with Sheffield, I think we're probably set to make him our number one goalkeeper. Because I said before we put him out on loan, he's inexperienced at the moment. He needs to be put on loan to obviously, gain more experience. And Dean Henderson's done really well for Sheffield United. And, like I mentioned with De Gea, he's our number one at the moment. He's been our number one for a while. But he's a liability now, De Gea. He hasn't been so good, at least in the last year or quarter, or maybe even longer. He's still overall one of the best goalkeepers in the world, because he's enjoyed a fantastic career with Manchester United as De Gea. But when Dean Henderson, if he comes back, then I think he'll become our number one, to be quite honest. We've got Romero, who's our second choice. He plays in the cup games. You've got, obviously, Lee Grant, that really hasn't played since his arrival from Stoke. So, take that into account as well. And, Sanchez, obviously now we're going to sell Sanchez in the summer. So, it's been a change because Solskjaer only came out last month and he said Sanchez would have been coming back in the summer to prove everybody wrong. Obviously, he's on loan at Inter Milan at the moment. Man United are still paying the vast majority of his wages, though. We're still paying around 300 grand a week, and Inter Milan are paying the other £100,000 a week or whatever it is. But he hasn't really had his chance at Inter Milan because he's injured. And the same thing when he was here for 18 months, he was always injured, and that's Sanchez. And he really wasn't first choice anyway. So I'm glad he isn't coming back, because I said it would have been a bad decision from the football club to recommend Alexis Sanchez, back in and that. But if we can get Sancho in the summer, if we can get James Maddison, Jack Grealish or whatever, I would be, very, very delighted, and I'd say, look, we've had a good summer transfer window. That'd be my overarching view on it. Even if we got, Sancho and Grealish, I'd be happy, without even Maddison there. But there's still areas in the squad that need to be addressed. We possibly need a left back. We need a defensive midfielder. We need a right winger. And we, Solskjaer also wants to bring 2 strikers in. So, yes, currently take that into account. But I don't think Solskjaer will be here next season, But, whether Solskjaer's our manager or whether it's any other manager, I just don't think they'll ever invoke Alex Ferguson's legacy. I don't see us ever being the team that was under Ferguson. Obviously, Ferguson, what he accomplished was unbelievable. But, take into account, he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Manchester United and that. And, we're looking to, build a team, of what team we had under Ferguson, want to try and build a team that can replicate what the team did under Alex Ferguson and that. This is what Manchester United are basically trying to do. But at the moment, City are strides ahead of us, Liverpool are strides ahead of us, and it's going to take us, several years to get to emulate to their level. It's going to take us several years in that. Our squad, looking at it now, is good enough for the top 4 finish. It isn't good enough to win the league. No, it's not. Even with Fernandes and Agallo in the team, it isn't good enough to win the league. This is why we need more signings in the summer. It isn't even good enough to mount any kind of title challenge up, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. Manchester United have not won the league since 2013, which is now, of course, 7 years ago. So I said at the start of this season, I was hoping for a better season this season than what I saw last season. Last season was very disappointing, but, we're enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. So it's the worst. This is the lowest we've ever been in the Premier League era to this point, because we're sitting 8th in the Premier League at the moment. And, it's not good enough for that. And, since Solskjaer got the job permanently, we've lost more games in the Premier League than we've won. So, currently I'd take that into account as well. But yeah, it's good, like I mentioned, we are making plans for the summer transfer window and that. I give you the news, didn't I, regarding Mauricio Pochettino today. A lot of positivities come out about him, and, obviously it fueled more speculation. He's obviously, he was alongside Neil Ashton at Griffin Park yesterday, spectating the Brentford and Leeds United game that ended 1-1. Obviously, Pochettino has revealed he would love a return to the Premier League. And obviously, he was reflecting on his legacy at Tottenham, and he said that's more important than winning trophies, because Pochettino hasn't won out in terms of silverware at the moment. That's my own element of concern, but I think he would be the right candidate for Manchester United, would Pochettino. We won't get him in anywhere until the end of the season if we recommend him in, because if we waited till the end of the season, we wouldn't have to pay anything in compensation. Tottenham would be entitled to 10 million in compensation if he came to Man United or any other club before the end of the season. That Pochettino has revealed he wants to take over at Manchester United, so it's more than likely, he will be our next current manager. It's not always the right solution sacking managers, though, because we've sacked 3 managers since the Ferguson era, like I mentioned. Moyes went after 10 months, Louis van Gaal went, despite the fact he won the FA Cup, and Jose Mourinho went after 2.5 years, despite the fact he won the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season at Manchester United. So take that into account as well, So yeah, guys, that's mainly everything to update you today. The transfer news, everything else to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and I will be back with more videos tomorrow. See you all again soon.